بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali's Criterion of Action, ميزان العمل. And if you are following the Dar Minhaj Arabic edition, we are on page 264, بيان تناول المال وما في اكتسابه من الوظائف. Wealth and its duties. Imam Al-Ghazali said, rahimahullah, know that the love of the here below is the root of every sin, and that the here below is where the seeds for the hereafter are sown. الدنيا مزرعة الآخرة. It contains what is good and useful, as well as what is poisonous and deadly. It is like a snake. A healer might pick it up to extract an antidote from it, or an ignorant man might pick it up and be killed by its venom before he knows what is happening. It is said that wealth is one of the middlemost good things, الخيرات المتوسطة, for it is useful in one aspect and harmful in another. Therefore, it is necessary to confine oneself to the useful part of it and avoid the destructive part. This is rooted in knowledge of the status of wealth among the desirable things, for the root of all matters is knowledge of the realities of things. We say, therefore, that the seeker of the happiness of the hereafter has certain duties regarding wealth. These duties pertain to its acquisition, expenditure, and the proper attitude regarding its utilization. The proper attitude regarding its utilization. Acquisition, الدخل. Expenditure, الخرج. I'm simply using Imam Al-Ghazali's vocabulary. And the proper attitude regarding its utilization. وقدر المتناول والنية الواجبة في تناوله. Proper attitude in both cases, because there's what should be the intention. The first duty, but that falls within the proper attitude. The first duty is knowledge of the status of wealth. As we have seen, there are three kinds of desirable acquired things. Those pertaining to the soul, those pertaining to the body, and those that are external, meaning they are not it's not something that is integral part of the human being, not even his or her body. Of these, the external have the lowest status, and among wealth, money has the lowest status, for it serves and is not served. And money has the lowest status, of course. Of these, external have the lowest status, and among wealth, money has the lowest status, for it serves and is not served. I'm simply trying to insert الدراهم والدنانير. We talk about gold and silver, really, because that was the money at the time. And they are still. There was a non-Muslim commentator on an American, really, of Southeast regardless of his origin. When a non-Muslim who speaks about gold as God's money, which would basically, so this statement could reflect something really that Imam Al-Ghazali, it resonates with what Imam Al-Ghazali says, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made these two stones, the gold and silver, guided humanity to use them for exchange of goods. And Imam Al-Ghazali said that they are simply two, he said hajaran, literally two stones, meaning it's two minerals, if you will. In themselves, there's nothing useful about them in themselves, in that sense, if it were not for the monetization, if you will. The soul serves knowledge and the virtues in order to attain them, and the body serves the soul as its instrument. Food and clothing serve the body, and money serves food and clothing. As we have seen, the purpose of food is to sustain the body, and it is through the body that the soul is perfected. The one who acknowledges this hierarchy and holds to it will have a proper appraisal of wealth and status, and will recognize the nature of its nobility inasmuch as it is essential for the soul's perfection. The one who knows the ultimate purpose of a thing and employs it to that end will succeed in attaining that purpose. He will go no further than the degree required to achieve that purpose, and will not become reliant on it or totally devoted to it. This perspective explains to us why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes condemns wealth, such as when He says in the Quran, "Your possessions and your children are but a trial." إنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة, a tribulation, a test, inasmuch as it is a means to the hereafter, to the hereafter, talking about wealth, about money. Inasmuch as it is a means to the hereafter, it is praiseworthy. So it's not a tribulation anymore if one uses it properly. And inasmuch as it diverts from it from the hereafter, it is blameworthy. Thus the Prophet ﷺ after the first, your possessions and your children are but a trial, and other times praises it, such as when He says, He will aid you with wealth and sons. وَيَمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. Here it is praised, here it is presented as something good. Imam Ghazali continues, inasmuch as it is a means to thereafter, it is praiseworthy, and inasmuch as it diverts from it, it is blameworthy. Thus the Prophet ﷺ said, how wonderful honest wealth is. نعم المال الصالح للرجل الصالح. How wonderful honest wealth is. Of course, honest wealth for an honest person. Good, wholesome wealth acquired from a halal source and spent in halal areas, and you, if really it stays with you for a whole lunar year, and it reaches the nisab, the zakatable amount, if you will, then definitely it is a wonderful thing. نعمة المال الصالح للرجل الصالح. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, let neither your possessions nor your children divert you from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who do so are the losers. لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون. How could a man not be a loser if he gathers barley for his horse? In fact, for his animals, animals for riding. It's a dabba. It could be a mule, it could be a horse, it could be a donkey. But spend so long cleaning it, counting the grains, and building a stronghold around it, that the horse dies of hunger, the dabba, of hunger before he gives it to him. Before he gives it to him. Consider the one whom the here below diverts from the hereafter, which is the true loss. Indeed, consider all mankind who are deluded by the allure of the here below and devotion to its pleasures. They are like passengers on a ship headed for the best land where the highest status may be attained. But the ship carries them to an island infested with lions and snakes. They are told to disembark for their ablutions, but to be careful of the island's dangers. Then they see some pretty rocks and colorful flowers, and become so smitten with them that they stray from the ship and forget all about their journey. They remain there frolicking until the ship leaves. Then night falls, and the lions fall upon them with their claws, and as do the snakes with their fangs, and those pretty rocks and flowers are of no use to them. One of them says, "Oh, would that I were dust." Another says, "My wealth has not availed me, my authority has gone from me." Another says, "Woe is me, for how I neglected my duty to Allah." Nothing remains in their grasp but regret without end, and the terrible, wretched company of snakes and lions. The verses, of course, the three verses. The first one would say, "Ya laytani kuntu turaba," and the second one would say, "Ma aghna anni maliya, halaka anni sultaniya," and the third one says, "Ya hasrata ala ma farrattu fi janbillah." This is exactly the condition of those who are deluded by the riches of the world. It was from such a terrible peril that Ibrahim alayhi salam, the friend of Allah, sought refuge when he said, "Keep me and my children from worshipping idols. وَاجْنُبْنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ." The idols. Remember? American idol, Arab idol, the form of worship. It's an amazing thing how people create kind of a sense of religiosity where it's not religion per se, and not only really statues, idols that are worshipped. By this he meant these two rocks, gold and silver. For the status of prophethood is far too exalted for the fear that it might believe divinity to dwell in something hewn of rock. Let's just simply try to understand the role that idols played in the life of his community. Because remember, the story in the Quran is that he mocked and destroyed the idols of his community, keeping only the largest of them. So when the community returned from their festivals, because he uttered a statement saying that I'm sick, but really he did not lie. I'm sick, like I'm sick and tired of your idols that you are worshipping. So when they returned and they asked about who destroyed all these idols, he told them it's the big one, and they knew immediately that the idol can neither destroy nor preserve nor protect nor act nor say anything. Of course, they knew that Ibrahim alayhi salam must be the one who did it, because he used to mock these idols. There is a story about the idols in the tradition of the people of the book, whereby someone comes to buy an idol, of course for worshipping, and Ibrahim alayhi salam asked him, "How old are you?" And he must, the story probably said, he said 8 years old or more. And then Ibrahim alayhi salam asked him, "How could it be that someone like you who's 8 years old worshipping a 1 day old?" Because they used to make these idols out of stone on daily basis. 8 years old worshipping a 1 day old. So the idols were there. Now one might say, by extension, one might say there's another form of worship. People who is basically a love for money that a love for money that blinds the person, that darkens the heart, that blurs one's vision, allegorically. Therefore, Ali said, "Little golden one, be off and tempt another. Little silver one, be off and tempt another." It has been said that I think this is the story of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was praying the extra night prayer, the Qiyam, on his own, and he at one point addressed the here below, this dunya, life on earth, addressing it, seduce someone else, ya dunya, غري غيري, seduce someone else, deceive someone else, tempt someone else. He saw it for what it is. The Prophet ﷺ likened those who are obsessed with the pursuit of gold and silver coins to idol worshippers, saying, "Doomed be the slave of the silver coin, doomed be the slave of the gold coin. May he never be well. If a thorn should prick him, may he never remove it." This hadith was narrated by Imam al-Bukhari. The second duty is to be careful about the way in which wealth is attained and spent, Wealth is attained either by earning or by fortune. Fortune means inheritance, discovering a treasure, or receiving a gift without having requested it. It is well known what earning means. A person who is happy to take wealth wherever he finds it is condemned by the revelation. Wealth should only be received through the proper channels, which are defined by revelation. Halal. If one sees that wealth is lawful and good, one may take it. It is definitely unlawful, one must avoid it. If it is definitely unlawful, one must avoid it. No theft, no white collar crime, and no money that comes from gambling casinos, and no money that comes from pimping, and no money that comes. There's 1001 sources that are haram, but the halal way is much wider. For the one who tends his flock too close to the private pasture may well stray into it. If nothing definitely lawful is accessible, then one may take as much of it as one needs in the absolute sense. Think about needs. This is the كالراعي يرعى حول الحمى. You cannot really keep the flock, you cannot keep the sheep. If you are on the edge of that which is halal, which means you are on the edge of that which is haram, your sheep is the land of someone else. The land of someone else. They might venture and eat from that land, whether even if it's really grass, if it's not your land, one shouldn't. If it's private land, privately owned. As for a situation where it is possible to find something that is definitely lawful, but only by enduring much toil and time, then if the person is one of those worshippers who engage in action and hold firmly to common faith, he should pursue what is lawful. For his effort to attain it will be counted as worship, just like his efforts in all other acts of worship. The best dirham is the one that you spend on your family. You are rewarded for that. If he's one of the folk of the heart, the masters of knowledge, and his current endeavors would be spoiled if he spent all his time pursuing what is definitely lawful, he may take as much of what is more readily accessible as he needs. For that which is forbidden may become permitted when there is risk of something even worse. If someone is choking, he may drink wine to obviate the risk to his soul, knowledge, and heart action, which are incomparably precious and which all other things serve, just as it is permitted to consume the property of another, or even pork to save one's life. The same goes for uncertain things that allow one to continue to pursue knowledge rather than pursue Allah. Uh, let me try to see the يباح إتلاف مال الغير عند الخوف على النفس. So if someone is choking, he may drink wine to obviate the risk. The risk to his soul, knowledge, and heart action, which are incomparably precious, and which all other things serve. Just as it is permitted to consume the property of another. Okay. Consume. It is permitted to destroy the property of another to save one's life. Whether oneself or someone else's life, I would say, rather than consume. A firefighter, and a firefighter would damage, would destroy a beautiful entrance. Say that even when there is a false alarm, I know for a fact that this is the case. And for example, in Boston, the firefighters would destroy a beautiful entrance, a glass, expensive glass, even when there's if they find it closed, of course, because the idea is they are there to save life. They don't know yet that it is a false alarm, and the response in downtown Boston was like 3 minutes, and the firefighters will be there. So just as it is permitted rather than consumed, literally what Imam Ghazali said, يباح إتلاف مال الغير عند الخوف على النفس. Okay. Then it is also possible to consume that which is typically unlawful, or even pork, to save one's life. The same goes for uncertain things that allow one to continue to pursue knowledge. Now, this may incur the ire of the ignorant when they see a scholar consuming something that they themselves would be discouraged from. Since the ignorant cannot discern the subtle difference between the two. Therefore, the scholar should be discreet about this so as not to rattle the devil's chain. Inshallah, tomorrow we read the third duty. Until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.